Hey, Chaplain Jason checking in again today. So where we're going with these videos, what I'm wanting to do with these videos, one is of course give updates and let people know what is happening with the Chaplain Initiative, how things are moving along, what's going on, things like that. But also I thought it would be good to put some things out there that could be beneficial for people, beneficial for chaplains that are currently out serving, beneficial for people thinking they want to be a chaplain. And of course, if you're in the law enforcement community, hopefully some things that you might be able to use and keep in mind as you're dealing with things in life. So what I wanted to hit on today was actually briefly on the topic of mental health. And I came to this thought of doing this video today because just the other day, my wife and I are driving through town, and we drive through this area where a little while back there was a significant vehicle accident with a couple fatalities. And I was called in for the accident, actually to be on scene and be checking on officers that had to work the scene, see how they were doing, see how they were handling things, and did some follow-up with them later. And so I get there and bodies and such are cleaned up, but there's still vehicles, there's still, stuff torn up from the accident. But so I really didn't face any of the really bad trauma that went on with the accident. But yet, as my wife and I are driving through the area, immediately, I could see the scene again. I could tell you where everything was at, how things were situated, where people were standing, what was going on, what officers were doing on the scene. I could just vividly see the scene once again, all of a sudden, driving through months later. And it got me thinking about, how we process trauma, how we process these things. And it's very important for us to recognize what we need to do and how we need to handle things. So, you face trauma and you face something that's extreme, and sometimes your brain, we go into this fight or flight mode, and your brain kind of blocks out some things that's going on directly so you can act, so you can be there in the moment, and you can get what you got to get done, okay? Especially for police officers, they live in this range of life. And, something happens, somebody pulls a gun, there's a big accident, they go into this mode, it's down to business, and your brain is blocking out certain things so you can get the job done. Well, what happens is later, you still need to deal with these things. This thing still came into your brain. They're still being processed. Sometimes you might have nightmares after being in a scene or experiencing something, and that's your brain subconsciously coming in and taking all this stuff that it kind of pushed aside and filed away. And now it's trying to put this puzzle of trauma back together so you can process it, so you can deal with it, and so you can move forward. And so to help your brain with these things, you need to be proactive. So, finding people to talk to and express, what you saw, what you felt, what you were going through with it, and just walk through it. So that way, and talking about it, you're helping your brain put this puzzle back together and work through it. So that way you can, in a healthy way, deal with it and start to move forward. Now, there's of course ways that some people want to do after they're part of a traumatic scene to kind of get through it. Some of it's just kind of push it down. You get off shift, you go home, you just plug in, watch TV, have a beer, whatever, Well, that's not the way to deal with it. One, plugging into the TV, you kind of think you're shutting your brain down, but all you're doing is pushing the stuff to the back that's eventually going to come knocking on the door and pushing its way forward. Things like alcohol and stuff like that, they're just depressants, and they're keeping your brain from processing it, and we want your brain to process it. You want your brain to process it. You want to deal with this and work through it so that way you can, in a healthy manner, be moving forward. So there's actually a physical health aspect to this as well. So if you face trauma, the best things that you can do physically, be getting a good night's sleep, be eating good food, and be staying properly hydrated. Believe it or not, there's physical things help in dealing with trauma as well. But then back to the mental side, again, talk to people and just keep talking about it. If you're in a department that has a chaplain, man, talk to your chaplain. Talk to counselors that they might have on staff. Take time to walk through these things, because even if you think, oh, I've got this, it was a bad situation, whatever, but I'm good, I'm a big boy, I got this. No, you still need to talk through it, because you might start experiencing things later if you don't deal with it. If you're a chaplain, So, Warrior Family, we've got chaplains that serve chaplains. If you're part of our group and you go through something, man, call one of our chaplains, talk to them about it, go through it. We're here for each other. We need to lift each other up and help each other out. But you can't just be pushing stuff aside and squashing it down and not dealing with it. So mental health is extremely, extremely important, especially after you face times of trauma. So on the mental side, talk about it, deal with it. Also on the mental side, especially if you're a person of faith, take time to pray about it. Even praying about it, the spiritual side of me says, God's going to help you through it. God's going to help you work through things. But the psychological side to the religion is also, you're verbalizing it and you're still working through it. So there's multiple facets to where that side comes in, and it's very beneficial for you. If you have a pastor you can talk to, you go work with them, talk to them, share things. They've got it in confidence, so they should be somebody that you can talk to. Go to the Word on the religious side. Go to your religious texts. For those that are Christian faith, you go to the Bible, and there's all sorts of things that can be uplifting passages that can help you get through it. And, it's very important to do these things. So if you face a traumatic event, even if it's a secondary exposure, as a chaplain and chaplains, this is very important. We can face events and things secondhand. You sit down with an officer or an EMT or whoever that faced a traumatic situation, and they tell you their story, they tell you what you're going through, you're doing your best to help them. Well, in the process of doing that, you're taking on all this baggage as well through the story that they're giving you. You're experiencing it secondhand. So you still need to be conscious and aware of what you need to do to in a healthy way, deal with this trauma that you're getting secondhand. So there's a lot of parts here, but I guess to get down to the brass tacks with it all, if you experience a traumatic event, even if it's you weren't in the midst of the event, but you see the aftermath of it, even if it's secondhand because you're working with somebody and you're hearing the stories and talking all about it, make sure you take care of yourself. Talk about what you're feeling and experiencing with someone that you can trust, and that's not going to be sharing it with everybody, and just so you can be getting it out. Make sure you're staying healthy, eating properly, getting enough fluids, doing those things that are proper, getting enough rest. And as well as all that, especially if you're a person of faith, spend time praying, spend time looking to scriptures, spend time keeping yourself engaged with these things that are going to be lifting you up and help carry you through. And again, some of the worst things you can be doing is absolutely unplugging. Vegging out in front of the TV and doing nothing is avoiding people. No, you need to be around people. You need to be talking to people. You need to be connecting to people. That's going to help you. And things like alcohol and drugs and all that make reality go away for a minute, don't help at all. They actually end up making things worse, because when all those feelings and thoughts come rushing back, they're going to come back hardened with a vengeance, and you don't want that. You want to deal with it up front. You want to get her done and help deal with this stuff now so you can be healthy and be productive in what you need to do. So that's a little bit for us today. I didn't cover it fully. This is really just kind of a little primer with all this, but hopefully some good things that folks can take away from this as they're going out and dealing with life. So thanks for checking in. We'll talk to you later.